Castlevania, a game based on Bram Stoker's horror classic Dracula, introduced a simple premise. Every 100 years, the Belmonts must save Transylvania from Dracula. In 1986, an 8-bit Simon Belmont assumed this heavy responsibility. Armed with a mystical whip, the legendary vampire killer, Simon hacked and slashed his way through deadly creatures and iconic monsters. Grabbing hearts to fuel his fight, Simon eventually defeated Dracula, and in the process, set up a sequel. The depiction of Simon Belmont holding Dracula's severed head on the cover of Nintendo Power's second issue allegedly caused some kids to have nightmares. But the negative reaction did little to slow Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. Konami moved the game into the action-adventure realm and added some RPG elements to serve their new story. If Simon didn't bring Dracula back from the dead, he would die, and Transylvania would be cursed forever. Scouring Transylvania in search of Dracula's body parts, Simon restored the Count back to health and defeated the evil lord once again. Another 100 years of peace followed, but gamers waited only 2 years for more Castlevania.
Simon Belmont, this is your night!
In 1989, while Simon Belmont joined the cast of Captain N, the Game Master, the franchise went back in time to 1476, in Dracula's Curse. This time, Simon's ancestor, Trevor Belmont, picks up the vampire killer to battle the Dark Lord. And he wasn't alone. Multiple characters were playable for the first time, and Trevor received help from a priestess, a pirate, and in a dramatic twist, Dracula's son, Alucard. 2 ports for the Game Boy followed, and then in 1991, Castlevania went next-gen with a Castlevania 1 remake on the Super NES. A richer color palette enhanced the already dark mood of the franchise. Also, Simon could now whip in 8 different directions and grab hold of objects and swing from one platform to another. Soon after Gary Oldman brought Bram Stoker's original Dracula back to the forefront of the public conscience, Castlevania Bloodlines hit the Sega in 1994 and reconnected the franchise with Stoker's original work. John Morris, the son of the man who struck the killing blow in the novel, fought Dracula's minions alongside Eric Lecarde. The symphonic melodies and revolutionary upside-down screens established Bloodlines as one of the most revered titles in the franchise. Dracula X followed. Considered the last of the classic franchise titles, the game served as a bridge from Bloodlines to the greatest Castlevania title of all time. Symphony of the Night hit in 1997. Dracula's son Alucard awakes from a very long slumber to defeat his father once and for all. Alucard relied on a huge array of weapons and abilities, and the game came packed with a very big surprise. A fake ending featuring a flipped castle had gamers unwittingly shelving the game without finishing it. Symphony is so highly regarded that fans even love to hate the corny voice acting.
It cannot be!
Later that year, the Game Boy release of Castlevania Legends inaccurately introduced Sonia Belmont, master of the new Burning mode, as the progenitor of the Belmont clan. And in the next few years, the franchise went 3D with 2 releases on the N64. These were followed by 3 Game Boy Advance titles. The third, Aria of Sorrow, introduced Soma Cruz and was largely responsible for the game's growing handheld following. In 2003's Lament of Innocence, 17 years after Castlevania 1, fans finally learned the true genesis of the feud between the Belmonts and Dracula. In 1094, Matthias Kronqvist tricked his best friend, Leon Belmont, into killing a vampire who possessed the precious Crimson Stone. Matthias used the stone to become an immortal vampire and assumed a new name, Dracula. Along the way, Leon Belmont lost his fiancée, but gained a new weapon, the Vampire Killer. After Matthias disappeared, Belmont vowed that he and his descendants would use the new mystical whip to fight Dracula until the end of time. In 2005, Castlevania returned to the PS2 in Curse of Darkness. Players wielded more weapons and abilities and could also forge others to fight on their side. Also that year, Dawn of Sorrow for the DS strengthened Castlevania's hold on the handheld market. Portrait of Ruin followed a year later and featured the very first time two characters could be on the screen simultaneously. The game was also the first to offer online gameplay via a Wi-Fi connection. Since then, Castlevania has been released for mobile phones and the PSP. At one time, a movie was being passed around Hollywood, but the 2007 writers' strike delayed the picture's production. While it has found a home in the handheld market, the game's future is uncertain. But much like its antagonist, fans may never know when or where Castlevania will resurrect itself.